Different ways to do live and video recording. These are some that we've probably experienced or maybe you've experimented with. Zoom definitely has a lot of user function, but if you're someone who's not great at multitasking, it's going to be a challenge because it's going to ask you to be guiding and directing conversations if you're into the paid plans in ways that do add a fair bit of intellectual load as you're running a conversation. So I tend to use Google Meets not just because it's part of our Google Classroom, but because it actually has more limited function. And so I don't have to walk through the process of things with students quite as much. It's very user intuitive. And so really all you have to do is click and all of a sudden you're into this Google Meet. So it's really nice for parents as well. Sending a link in Zoom may require them to install software, whereas with Google Meets, they can use it on their desktop if they've got video capabilities and a microphone, and on their phones it's a quick app and then it's just as user-friendly from there. Microsoft Teams, very similar to Zoom, although then you get the Microsoft suite that comes with everything. And so with that, you definitely have a lot of integrated features that you can use. So for example, with Teams, you might be working on a document live together in Teams as a group as you're separately working from your own workspace. So as you level up, learning these new platforms is definitely worth the time. All of them have some unique features, and then of course they all have some commonalities. So once you've learned one, it becomes more accessible to learn the others. What I've got on the bottom here is Flipgrid. This is a great user interface and app for students who are comfortable sharing videos. The nice thing is that it's really fluent and fluid for them to share videos back and forth with each other. So you can set up a class and then you can have students join and they're able to share video just that easily. They can also use that to do a vlogging response to an assignment or to share something like a speech or presentation. So a really nice platform there. But the point is that you can have other students respond also in video form. So it's a really interesting conversation sort of format to use. We all know YouTube. I love YouTube. If you haven't discovered YouTube Studio yet and you are making content for students, that's something to explore. I like the YouTube Studio because it gives me the metrics, how much viewership I've had, the kind of engagement, if there has been any likes or commenting, that kind of thing. So it's just a nice tool because you have so much access to how your materials are actually being taken up and used on the other side. Screencastify as well works beautifully in collaboration with YouTube. That is the platform that I'm using here. And I've just discovered the video editing side of Screencastify, and never have I ever used such a user-friendly platform. So if you're familiar at all with iMovie, this is not that. This is way, way easier. You can clip and arrange and crop and do all kinds of things. This is how I produced my message here today. So if you're curious about how this all came together, it's really an easy thing to use, provided you are working mostly with web pages. It doesn't work as well if you're using your desktop. I would actually recommend Teams over Screencastify if that's the case, but Screencastify Editor allows you to crop and adjust and make film with any MP4 files. So it doesn't have to be a Screencastify file, video file, for you to use it and edit it in that app. Finally, Mote is probably my new favorite thing ever. I'll use this way beyond the pandemic. Voice recorded notes for students. What a revelation. So instead of typing many, many comments and much feedback for student writing, I have the ability to talk through their paper. And then often what I'm doing is if I'm looking at their Google Doc, I'm highlighting, or I might be copying and pasting a sentence to do a correction for them at the bottom, but I'm talking through the process. So they get my tone of voice, they have a sense of what I'm celebrating for them, and they have a sense of what they're working on and continuing to level up in a way that doesn't feel as permanent as sometimes reading those feedback comments can seem. My teacher has typed it. It must be truth. It must be over. Mote gives a little more of a sense of feedback in progress and in process. So I do always like that. You also, for the paid version, can upgrade and have transcripts of your comments. As this was emerging last year, the transcripts metrics were not great. And so I actually preferred that I wasn't accessing those. And so I didn't go for the high flyer version of the account. I stuck with the middle of the road, very inexpensive. I think it was $20 for the year. And I couldn't say enough good things about them. Designing for parent connection. As you can see, these are the YouTube Studio metrics. So this is just an example. What I had been doing this year, as I, was trying to connect with parents and recognizing that they're probably wondering, since we had no Meet the Teacher and for safety reasons, no live parent-teacher interviews, who the heck is teaching my kid? So what I've started doing is sending, at least at the beginning and sometimes along the way, a little video update. So this is on my school channel. If you go to the channel that I'm using for this production, you won't find these videos. They are more private and they're not for distribution. So they are videos for just a little bit of informational sharing. I was using the Screencastify free option, and a 5-minute cutoff point was enough for me to share that information. You can, of course, do multiple videos as well. And if you have the paid for editing software, you could use the free Screencastify 5-minute videos to make as long of a production as you'd like if you're willing to put the work in for editing. So with parent updates, I had so much positive feedback. I always assume that one good parent email represents 6 to 8 other parents. And I always assume that one negative parent email represents one parent. That is probably the best metric I've ever discovered. And you know what? It's verified. So what you can see there, I have 89 30-1 parent email addresses that I sent the update to. That means that I have 2 different classes. It's about 55 students altogether. So 27 parents is a third or more of the people that I'm represented, or that I have represented as students in my classroom. So having that kind of engagement and having clear evidence of that kind of engagement is such a gift, because I know that people are coming in and they have a sense of what's coming. And I know that because they've taken a minute to sort of meet me there, or to engage with that technology, get a little update, they care, they're familiarizing themselves, and they don't need to actively reach back out to me for me to know that that's happening. So it's kind of a nice gift. If you've ever wondered, okay, I send these updates, I get nothing back, it's not because they're not accessing them, it's because you can't measure it. So that's what I've been working to do, and that's one reason that I really have been enjoying the YouTube Studio, is the ease of access with that engagement and the metrics of those.